Microsoft started off the last generation with a rough start with the Xbox One. The Kinect was still a thing and it didn't have the exclusive games found on the PlayStation 4. However, throughout the generation, Microsoft shifted their strategy with the emergence of Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud. Armed with their two new consoles, Microsoft had positioned itself really well going into this generation. Well, first up, let's have a look at the hardware, and I really like the visual look and feel of the Xbox Series X, especially when compared to the rather strange PlayStation 5. When compared to its predecessor, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X is quite large. It's similar to a small tower PC, it's black and it stands tall in your media center. Given the shape, the best place for it is probably next to a TV or monitor, rather than tucked away in a drawer or under the display. So it's got an Ethernet port, 3 USB ports and the HDMI connection and a storage expansion slot, which will no doubt come in handy given the size of the games this generation. The power brick has been removed and the console comes with a standard power cable and also comes with an HDMI 2.1 cable, which allows for high-speed transmission of data to the screen, which enables up to 120 FPS, although you do need a monitor or TV with a matching HDMI 2.1 capabilities to take full advantage. The console itself is really quiet, and the only time I really notice it's there is when it quietly chimes into life when you turn it on. You can't hear the fans hardly at all, and it makes a huge difference from last generation. On top of the console there's a grate, which acts as a good ventilation throughput for the system, plus you tilt the console to an angle, you can see the trademark Xbox green painted on the inside. Well, next let's have a look at the performance, and the Xbox Series X is lightning fast thanks to the Xbox Velocity architecture. This includes an NVMe solid-state drive, and the power can be felt in loading times, especially in huge open-world games. And the difference is absolutely massive, loading almost instantaneously, and once you've tried this speed, it's really tough to go back to how it was before. There's a bunch of other performance features which make your gameplay experience much better this generation. So for example, the system memory is optimized so textures load faster, there's less screen tear due to the variable refresh rate, and also there's hardware accelerated ray tracing to help make the worlds much more realistic and immersive. The Xbox Series X comes with a 1TB of hard drive space, which I can see filling up very quickly. One of the first things I did was download Call of Duty Warzone, which is already a quarter of the hard drive gone, and the lifespan of the console these days is approximately 5 years, and I can imagine games are going to be getting very big this generation. The Xbox has released their proprietary external storage drive, which can slot into the system, and these are a little expensive for what they are, given you can buy the same hard drive space for about half the price for non-Microsoft alternatives. But hopefully Microsoft will work with partners to make this much more affordable for gamers in the not too distant future. Behind the speed and the performance is 12 teraflops of GPU power that works with a 16GB of GDDR6 320-bit memory, including 10GB of GPU optimized memory that works to prevent bottleneck. And the Xbox Series X can therefore reach 4K 120 FPS, and again, you do need a monitor or TV that works with this, but if you do, the results are absolutely stunning. Well, next up, let's have a look at the UI, and the main UI is pretty much unchanged from the Xbox One, although the speed and responsiveness has been improved. Picking up from where you left off in games is now super easy and fast, and the menu systems are easy to navigate and really intuitive. Quick Resume is a new feature allowing you to swap between games fast, and the Xbox Series X leaves the game in a suspended state, and works great in single-player offline games, but for online games you will still get booted from activities. However, it's really fast to swap between titles and it feels nice and quick and easy. Next up, let's talk about the games, and there's not too many launch games to speak of when it comes to the Xbox Series X. Halo was supposed to be here, and we can still see Master Chief on the Xbox Series X boxes related to the planned promotional material. However, launch games don't really matter with the Xbox Series X because there's plenty to jump in with for free, and if you've got a subscription to Xbox Game Pass, well, you're in the money. In terms of free games, you can jump straight into Fortnite, Warzone, Destiny 2, Apex Legends, and plenty of other top free games which offer a free-to-play model. Most of these games have been given a next-generation facelift, so you could be jumping in straight away with some beautiful-looking games with hundreds of hours of entertainment for free. But Xbox Game Pass is perhaps the killer app of this generation, especially given the acquisition of Bethesda and their partnership with EA. Now, I was using Xbox Game Pass on my PC, so I upgraded myself to the Ultimate Edition of Game Pass. So here I've got a collection of the latest games from Microsoft, legacy Xbox 360 games, and a huge range from Bethesda and EA too. It is a little bit overwhelming at times. It can feel a little bit like a Friday night when you're looking at Netflix and you really don't know what to watch. There's just so much choice here, but to be honest, I'm really not complaining. I have found that the Xbox Series X is my new indie machine, with quick and easy access to indie titles like Narita Boy, Celeste, Ikenfell, Genesis Noir, and also Subnautica. That's not to mention Halo Master Chief Collection, Forza, Gears of War, Sea of Thieves, Jedi Fallen Order, Fallout 3, Octopath Traveler, Star Wars Squadrons, Control, Doom Eternal, and Dishonored, plus a whole load more. You know, the value that Xbox Game Pass offers is absolutely staggering, and it seems to get better and better as the weeks go by. Well, next up, let's have a look at the controller, and the Xbox controller has always been great, and I've been using my Xbox One controller plugged into my PC for many years now. There's a few improvements to the older gamepad, which include a share button, which allows the easy capture of a screenshot or recording a gameplay clip, which can then be easily shared. The D-pad has been improved too, taking inspiration from the Elite controller, and includes a multi-directional control. But one of the main drawbacks I can think of with the controller is the fact that you still need batteries for this piece of hardware. I just wish I could charge it with the console itself, but I know this is kind of a personal preference thing. Next up, let's have a look at the backwards compatibility, and Microsoft does seem to be focusing heavily on backwards compatibility this generation. So pretty much everything from Xbox One can run on Xbox Series X, and Microsoft have worked hard to get a load of Xbox 360 titles working on there too. You know, older games benefit from next generation updates too, with improved frame rates, HDR, better resolution, and it all adds up to making the Xbox Series X feel great value. So in summary, the Xbox Series X is a no-nonsense games playing machine. Super fast, easy to set up, and has a massive library of games via Game Pass or free games too. Given the number of acquisitions and deals Microsoft is making to bolster their library of Game Pass, it could be that Game Pass is the only subscription service you will need for games. I'm having a great time with the console so far, although the lack of console exclusive games is a little bit surprising, but this was likely hit by COVID. You know, Halo was planned for launch, but it simply wasn't ready. Has gone back in the oven until later in 2021, we all hope. And I'm fine with this given the amount of great games that are appearing on Game Pass each week, and the Xbox Series X gives me a quick and easy way to play all these new great games. Sometimes I look at the library and just wonder what I'm going to download next, but when I compare this to my childhood and having to play the same game over and over again while I saved up for my next game, well, it's a really good problem to have. Well, that is it for my review of the Xbox Series X, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. See you soon.